Sagittarius, God wants to warn you. You are next in line. Have you felt lately as if something invisible has been following you, Sagittarius? As if there's a quiet gaze observing your every move. Not in judgment but in sacred preparation? Perhaps you've caught yourself pausing mid-thought, sensing that life is shifting beneath your feet, that a chapter you didn't plan for is about to begin. This isn't your imagination. It's the whisper of destiny moving closer, rearranging your world so you can finally step into the role you were born to play. You, Sagittarius, are being refined, pulled gently but firmly toward a purpose greater than you've ever dared to envision. Every delay, every closed door, every moment that seemed meaningless is now aligning like stars across the night sky, guiding you toward your appointed moment. If you've been feeling restless, heavier than usual, or strangely detached from things that once excited you, it's because your soul already knows what your mind has yet to grasp. You're next in line. Something vast is approaching, an initiation into visibility, leadership, and spiritual power. So before we walk through this message together, take a deep breath. Let your heart open. If this energy already stirs something inside you, like share or subscribe, not out of habit, but as a quiet declaration that you're ready to receive what was always meant for you. Gate 1: The Silent Preparation. Sagittarius, you've always lived with a curious blend of faith and fire. You move through life guided by instinct, drawn toward horizons that others fear to chase. But lately, even your adventurous spirit has felt confined, as if the winds that once carried you freely have gone still. You may have thought this silence was punishment or stagnation, yet it is neither. It is sacred preparation. You are being watched, not by human eyes but by the intelligence of the universe itself. There is a divine order tracking your growth, measuring your readiness, and shaping your spirit for a role that carries weight and consequence. Every setback has been a recalibration. Every heartbreak a refining flame. The unseen has been at work, stripping away what is temporary so what is eternal and you can rise. You see, Sagittarius, destiny never arrives dressed in comfort. It comes as disruption, as the end of what you thought would last forever. You've likely noticed patterns breaking apart. The relationships that once defined you no longer fit. The ambitions that used to thrill you now feel hollow. That's because the life you were living belonged to a smaller version of you. The universe is clearing your space of everything that cannot enter your next chapter. It is not rejection, it is replacement. And though it feels as if you're losing control, what's really happening is that control is being transferred from your ego to your essence. I once met a Sagittarius woman who thought she had failed when her business collapsed overnight. She lost her savings, her confidence, and nearly her belief in purpose. But what she didn't know was that the collapse was coded into her divine architecture. It pushed her into a field she never would have chosen on her own, counseling women through loss and renewal. Years later, she told me she'd never felt more alive, because for the first time, she wasn't just chasing success. She was embodying significance. That's the kind of transformation this moment is preparing in you. Sagittarius, you've been sensing this shift long before now. You've felt eyes on you, not of judgment but of selection. A subtle knowing that your story carries more weight than it seems. Perhaps you've resisted it, thinking, why me? Or I'm not ready yet. But readiness is rarely granted before calling. It's forged inside the calling itself. The very uncertainty you feel is proof that the process has begun. When life places you under pressure, it's not trying to break you. It's revealing the structure of your strength. In the quiet moments when no one's watching, your spirit has been training. When you chose kindness over retaliation, when you stood tall even while misunderstood, when you kept faith in seasons where nothing made sense, these were your exams. Invisible tests that qualified you for what's next. You passed them, Sagittarius, even when you didn't know you were being evaluated. That's why lately you felt the weight of something intangible on your shoulders. It's not fatigue. It's responsibility preparing to anchor itself in you. Your higher self has already accepted the role your conscious mind is still hesitating to claim. Remember this. Great callings are never announced with trumpets. They arrive disguised as pressure, confusion, or isolation. You are being called into visibility, but first you must be refined in secrecy. The silence surrounding you is not abandonment. It is consecration. The divine doesn't hide from you. It hides you until you're ready to be seen. This hidden season is where your real preparation happens. where your authenticity is tempered and your wisdom distilled. Because when the time comes for you to speak, lead, or act, your words must carry the vibration of truth, not performance. There is a line forming in the unseen world, a line of souls being equipped for their appointed tasks in this moment of history. You, Sagittarius, stand near the front of that line. Not because you demanded it, but because your experiences have refined you for it. Every hardship has been a rehearsal for leadership. Every unanswered prayer has become a seed of humility. Every fall taught you how to rise without bitterness. All of it has shaped you into someone the world will one day look to for light. But being next in line isn't a reward. It's a responsibility. It will ask for your solitude, your patience, and your courage. People around you may not understand why you've become quieter, more discerning, more serious. They'll feel the energetic shift before you can explain it. Some will leave because your new vibration exposes their complacency. Let them go. This next chapter doesn't require validation. It requires alignment. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to fulfill what only you can do. There will be days when you feel the contradiction of your calling. Both chosen and unprepared, powerful yet vulnerable. That paradox is the sign of authenticity. The ones who fear the unknown yet move forward anyway are the ones truly ready to lead. Don't wait for certainty. Certainty is the reward for obedience, not the condition for it. As you walk through this first gate, know this. What's being built inside you now is unshakable. The world will see the results later, but heaven already sees the foundation. So breathe deeply, Sagittarius. The silence you're walking through is not the absence of progress. It's the womb of it. You are being prepared for something vast, precise, and divinely timed. When your name is called, the preparation will make sense. Until then, trust the quiet hands shaping your destiny behind the veil. Gate to the refining fire. Sagittarius, the path you're walking now is not one of comfort. It is one of refinement. Every Sagittarius carries within them a flame that refuses to die, no matter how many storms they endure. That fire is your signature, the cosmic imprint that makes you a traveler of truth. But before that fire can light the way for others, it must first burn away everything false within you. You're not being punished. You're being purified. The divine is not trying to hurt you. It's trying to make you whole. You cannot become the vessel of purpose you're meant to be, while still clinging to versions of yourself that were never built to last. You've likely noticed this process in recent months. The people you counted on began to fade. The things that used to comfort you lost their taste. Opportunities appeared promising and then suddenly disappeared, leaving you wondering what you did wrong. But you did nothing wrong. This is how the refining fire operates. It doesn't destroy what's real. It removes what's no longer compatible with your next level. For Sagittarius, the stripping process is particularly painful because freedom is your heartbeat. You're used to choosing your own path, to running when things feel heavy. But this time you're not supposed to run. You're meant to remain in the fire until it finishes its sacred work. You see, Sagittarius, the universe doesn't refine those who are meant for small things. It only tests those who are destined for influence. When gold is placed in the fire, it isn't because it has no value. It's because its value is immense. The impurities that rise to the surface are not shameful. They're proof that transformation is happening. The same is true for you. The emotions you're feeling, the confusion, the doubt, the restlessness, are evidence that you're being melted into your truest form. Your spirit is expanding beyond its old limits, and your life is adjusting accordingly. There's a story I often tell of a Sagittarius man who once said to me, "Every time I get close to something big, it falls apart." He thought the universe was cruel, that it enjoyed teasing him with glimpses of success only to snatch them away. But what he didn't see was that those collapses weren't endings. They were initiations. Each one forced him to grow stronger, wiser, and more discerning. When his true opportunity finally arrived, he recognized it instantly. Not because it was easy, but because it demanded everything he'd learned in his failures. That is how the divine works. It teaches you through loss what prosperity could never reveal. Right now, Sagittarius, the fire around you is intelligent. It knows exactly which parts of you can stay and which must go. You may feel like your life is in chaos, but it's sacred chaos, a divine reordering. The universe is rearranging your circumstances so that only what is authentic remains. This may mean losing relationships that once felt irreplaceable, or walking away from paths that once defined you. But take heart. Nothing true ever leaves you. It simply transforms its form. The ones meant for your destiny will find you again, stronger, clearer, and more aligned. The refining fire also tests your relationship with yourself. It asks, will you still trust when everything familiar disappears? Will you still believe in your light when the world seems to go dark? Sagittarius, your gift is vision. You see far beyond the surface. But vision alone isn't enough. You must learn endurance, the kind that keeps believing even when no evidence remains. The divine doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to persist, to keep walking when others would have stopped, to keep forgiving when bitterness would be easier, to keep showing up when no one claps. That's the hidden discipline of the chosen ones. At times you may feel an ache of loneliness so deep that it echoes. You'll wonder why those you once called friends no longer understand you. It's because you've outgrown the frequency that bound you together. When a Sagittarius evolves, their energy field expands, and not everyone can breathe in that new altitude. The fire is not only refining your circumstances, it's refining your circle. You're not meant to drag everyone with you. Some are meant to remain as chapters, not constants. The space left behind will not stay empty. It will be filled by souls who match your new vibration. People who challenge you, inspire you, and hold you accountable to your purpose. And then there's fear, the fear of not being enough when your time comes. Every chosen Sagittarius feels it. Fear is not the enemy. It's the indicator that you're standing at the edge of expansion. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act while fear trembles inside you. When your soul accepted this calling long before you were born, it knew there would be moments of doubt. That's why it planted deep within you, the stubborn optimism that refuses to give up. Even when you say, I'm done, something inside whispers, not yet. That whisper is divine endurance. It's how spirit keeps you in motion, even when you feel spent. This refining fire will not last forever, but the person it forges will. You'll emerge with a wisdom that can't be faked, a humility that can't be taught, and a strength that can't be shaken. You'll stop needing to prove your worth because your very existence will radiate it. The universe doesn't refine you for recognition. It refines you for resonance. The people meant to be guided by your light will feel it long before they see it. And when they do, they'll know it's real, because only someone who has walked through the fire can speak warmth into others' cold places. So Sagittarius, when the heat intensifies, whisper to yourself, I'm not burning, I'm becoming. The flame that surrounds you is the same one that will illuminate your path ahead. Trust it. Stay in it. Let it do what it came to do. Because when the refining ends, you won't just be ready for your calling. You'll be the living embodiment of it. Gate through the weight of calling. Sagittarius, when destiny begins to move closer, its presence is heavy. You start feeling it before you can name it. The restlessness that creeps in at dawn, the sudden bursts of clarity that vanish before you can hold them, the urge to clean, rearrange, or withdraw. It's as though life is rehearsing you for something immense but hasn't yet handed you the script. This weight you carry isn't anxiety. It's sacred gravity. It's your soul stretching to fit a purpose that was always larger than your old identity could contain. Every chosen soul eventually learns this truth. Being next in line doesn't feel like triumph. It feels like tension. Because what's approaching requires you to evolve faster than your comfort allows. Sagittarius, you are a creature of expansion, ruled by Jupiter, the planet of growth, truth, and faith. And yet, even for you, growth hurts. The call that's coming to you will demand structure around your freedom, focus within your fire, and humility within your confidence. It's not trying to tame your wildness. It's asking you to aim it, to turn your arrows of passion into instruments of purpose. There's a moment before every Sagittarian awakening where the old ways begin to crumble. The distractions that once numbed you stop working. The ambitions that once excited you start feeling too small. And suddenly your spirit whispers, there must be more than this. That whisper is the start of everything. It's not dissatisfaction. It's divine discontent, the universe's way of nudging you toward alignment. You were never meant to live a quiet, unexamined life. You were designed to seek, to question, to explore both the outer and inner worlds. So when the ordinary starts to feel unbearable, it's not a flaw, it's a summons. But with calling comes cost. The spiritual weight you're feeling is the price of leadership. The people around you may not understand why you've become more guarded, more selective with your energy. They'll sense your vibration changing before you speak a word. Some will feel threatened, others inspired. A few will disappear quietly, unable to match your new rhythm. Let them. Destiny doesn't consult the opinions of those who fear your light. It's not arrogance to protect your energy. It's stewardship. The higher your calling, the more precise your boundaries must become. I remember a Sagittarius teacher who once said to me, "The higher I rose in purpose, the lonelier it felt." She wasn't wrong. The summit is sacred but often silent. Leadership, especially spiritual leadership, demands solitude. You can't hear divine instruction in crowded rooms. You'll be misunderstood, accused of arrogance, even called cold. But what others see as distance is actually devotion. You're not rejecting them. You're responding to something greater. That solitude is where the next version of you is being sculpted, where your discernment sharpens and your strength matures. Sagittarius, the divine doesn't choose you because you're flawless. It chooses you because you're faithful. You have a heart that still believes in light even after walking through darkness. You've fallen and risen enough times to know that grace is real. That's why your calling carries weight. The universe can trust you with influence because you've proven you won't abuse it. But make no mistake, this trust will be tested. You'll face moments that tempt you to compromise your values for quick rewards. You'll meet people who mirror your ambition but not your integrity. You'll be offered shortcuts that look divine but smell of manipulation. These are not obstacles, they are exams. Every no you say to distraction is a yes to destiny. Sagittarius, this next level will require you to walk differently. Your words will carry weight. Your presence will stir others. You'll notice that people start coming to you for guidance, even those who once dismissed you. This isn't about superiority. It's about service. You are being shaped into a mirror through which others will see possibility. The divine doesn't elevate you to be admired. It elevates you to awaken. Your success isn't meant to provoke envy. It's meant to provoke courage. You are not here to lead from a pedestal but from presence. But leadership is lonely, not because people don't love you, but because few can understand the unseen responsibility you carry. When others rest, you'll still be awake, thinking about how to protect what's sacred. When others celebrate the visible victories, you'll be quietly navigating the invisible battles. Yet, within that solitude, you'll also encounter joy. The pure, undiluted joy of knowing you're finally living on purpose. There's nothing more fulfilling than feeling your actions ripple beyond yourself. Watching lives shift simply because you had the courage to keep standing when others sat down. And yes, there will be fear. The fear that you're not enough. The fear that you'll fail in front of those who believed in you. The fear that you'll never live up to the expectations the universe seems to have placed upon you. But remember this. The fear doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're awake. Those who feel nothing are usually doing nothing. The ones who tremble are the ones who are truly alive. So let the fear come. Let it stand beside you as proof that you're stepping into uncharted territory. You don't have to be fearless, Sagittarius. You just have to be faithful. You are approaching a threshold where your words, actions, and energy will impact more people than ever before. This influence is sacred. Use it to build, not to boast. To heal, not to harm. To remind others that growth is not about perfection but perseverance. The true leader is not the loudest voice in the room. It's the one who listens deeply, acts wisely, and lives transparently. That is the leader you are becoming. So when the weight feels unbearable, don't pray for it to be lifted. Pray for your shoulders to grow strong enough to carry it. Because the weight you bear today is the proof of the purpose you'll fulfill tomorrow. This is your initiation, Sagittarius. The divine is not testing you to see if you'll break. It's showing you that you can bend without losing your shape. You are being strengthened for impact, and when the moment arrives, your strength will speak louder than your words ever could. Gate 4, the moment of emergence. Sagittarius, the most sacred moment in any transformation is not the beginning or the end. It is the in-between. The instant where you finally realize you can no longer return to who you were, yet haven't fully stepped into who you are becoming. That is where you stand now. Between worlds, between identities, between the comfort of old safety and the call of divine destiny. Feels like suspension, but it's actually acceleration. The universe is pulling you forward faster than you can comprehend, and the only thing asked of you is surrender. For years you've dreamt of freedom, of living a life aligned with your truth. But freedom, Sagittarius, is not the absence of responsibility. It's the harmony of it. The divine is now teaching you the mature form of your gift, purposeful freedom. You are no longer being called to wander aimlessly, collecting experiences for the thrill of novelty. You're being asked to move with intention, to use your fire to light paths, not just burn bridges. The days of running from one chapter to another are ending. You are being rooted in purpose so that your expansion can finally hold form. You might notice strange synchronicities lately. Repeating numbers, dreams that feel too vivid to ignore, encounters that seem orchestrated. These are not coincidences. They are the divine breadcrumbs guiding you through this final stage of preparation. When a Sagittarius is about to rise, reality itself begins to echo back signs. Conversations confirm your thoughts before you speak them. Songs seem to speak directly to your soul. Doors that were once sealed suddenly crack open. That's because the universe doesn't whisper to you in one language. It communicates through everything. All you have to do is listen with your heart rather than your logic. But as you rise, you must also discern. The higher you ascend, the more distractions will appear dressed as opportunities. Some paths will sparkle but lead to nowhere. Some alliances will flatter your ego but drain your energy. Sagittarius, your greatest test now is discernment. The ability to sense what's for you without needing proof. Your intuition, long sharpened through trial and solitude, will be your compass. Trust it even when it contradicts what seems logical. The divine doesn't always move in straight lines. It moves through spirals, revisiting old lessons until they're integrated completely. You'll begin to notice a subtle shift in how others respond to you. Your light will amplify, and not everyone will celebrate it. Some will project jealousy or confusion. Others will try to claim your energy as their own. But do not dim yourself to make others comfortable. The same fire that warms those ready for growth will unsettle those still resisting it. Let it. You are not here to be universally liked. You are here to be universally useful. Your presence is meant to awaken, to stir, to remind others that stagnation is death to the soul. Shine, Sagittarius, not for approval but for alignment. There will also be sacred companions entering your orbit, souls who recognize your energy instantly, not because of shared history, but because of shared purpose. They will challenge you, refine you, and hold mirrors to your blind spots. These are your soul collaborators, your divine counterparts in purpose. Together you will build, teach, create, and elevate consciousness. These are not fleeting friendships, they are covenants. But to meet them, you must first release those who were only meant for your training season. The universe cannot send new frequencies into a channel still filled with static from the past. As your purpose expands, visibility will follow. The spotlight will turn toward you sooner than expected, and your instinct might be to retreat. But this is not the time to hide. This is the time to remember that visibility is not vanity. It's service. The world needs your perspective, your honesty, your ability to speak truth wrapped in warmth. Sagittarius carries the archetype of the teacher, the seeker who transforms pain into wisdom and experience into inspiration. You are meant to speak, to write, to guide, to stand as proof that one can walk through fire and still smell of freedom. The divine didn't choose you for perfection. It chose you for authenticity. And yes, you will be tested publicly. The higher the platform, the sharper the tests. You'll be misunderstood, judged, even criticized by those who can't perceive your process. Do not respond with defense, respond with grace. The universe will fight for your reputation when you remain true to your integrity. The only thing that can truly harm your mission is self-betrayal. Protect your peace more fiercely than your image, for peace is what sustains purpose when applause fades. Remember, Sagittarius, your task is not to convince anyone. It's to embody truth so completely that no words are necessary. You may wonder why the divine is placing such emphasis on your evolution now. It's because the world is shifting, and certain souls are being called to lead through light, not authority. Sagittarius energy carries the wisdom of optimism, the healing of laughter, the courage of vision. You are being activated as a torchbearer, someone who can remind others that even in chaos, there is coherence. Even in endings, there is birth. You are next in line because your journey of seeking has prepared you to become a guide. What once felt like wandering was actually training. You were learning the languages of loss, faith, and resilience so you could later translate them into hope for others. As this emergence unfolds, you'll feel two currents running through you: anxiety and exhilaration. They are twins of transformation. The anxiety tells you something sacred is at stake. The exhilaration tells you it's already happening. Don't try to silence either. Let them coexist like the inhale and exhale of your becoming. Because soon, Sagittarius, everything you've endured will make sense. The tears, the silence, the detours, all of it has been sculpting you for this exact moment in time. When you finally step into the role prepared for you, you won't need to announce it. Your energy will do the speaking. People will feel it before they understand it. The divine will place you where you can do the most good, and every act of integrity will multiply your influence. You will know you've arrived not by external validation, but by inner peace. That's the final sign. The storm within you will quiet, not because life gets easier, but because you've become stronger than the storm itself. So Sagittarius, prepare to be seen. Prepare for love and resistance, for celebration and challenge, for recognition and responsibility. The divine spotlight is about to turn your way, not to glorify you, but to glorify what moves through you. When it does, stand tall. Speak truth. Lead with compassion. And remember, this is what all the waiting was for. You are not stepping into something new. You are stepping into who you've always been. The world is ready. The arrow is drawn. The moment of release has come. Conclusion: the awakening of purpose. Sagittarius, this is your divine intersection. The point where destiny and readiness finally meet. The storms behind you were not random. They were rituals of refinement. Every heartbreak softened your pride. Every delay built your discernment. Every closed door redirected you toward the gates of purpose you were always meant to walk through. And now you stand at the threshold of your next great unfolding, trembling not because you're weak, but because your soul recognizes the sacred weight of what's coming. You are not who you were when this journey began. The Sagittarius who once sought meaning now embodies it. The seeker has become the sage. The wanderer has found direction. What awaits you is not a single opportunity, but an entirely new frequency of existence. One where your light no longer flickers in uncertainty but burns steady, guiding others through their own nights. The divine is not asking for perfection. It's asking for permission to move through you, speak through you, live through you. All that's required now is your yes. So as you close this chapter of waiting and preparation, take a deep breath and whisper, "I'm ready." Say it not to the universe but to yourself, the part of you that once doubted, once delayed, once dimmed your brilliance to keep others comfortable. That version of you has served its time. Let it rest. Ahead lies expansion, visibility, and peace unlike anything you've known. The gates have opened, Sagittarius. The world is waiting for the sound of your footsteps. If this message resonates with your heart, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, not out of routine, but as an act of alignment, a quiet declaration that you accept your calling. The journey continues, and every message that follows will help you walk it with grace, courage, and wisdom. You are next in line, not by coincidence but by cosmic design.